Hello friends, today we will learn about 12 agile principles and how they affect in our real life. I have reworded them into simple words so that it will be easier to remember. In 2001, this Agile manifesto surfaced. It wanted to change the software development process. The manifesto has 4 central themes, but not many people know that there are also 12 Agile principles. These offer more concrete example of how Agile software development should take place. The world of software development has also changed drastically. It's interesting to revisit the Agile principles, see what they mean and how they affect us in our real life. Number 1. Early and continuous delivery of valuable software. As the first principle says, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. We usually develop software on someone else's time and money to help them improve it. If we wait too long to deliver the product, it will probably not satisfy the customer's need. Customers expect fast delivery. That's why it is valuable to have early feedback and to have it continuously throughout the process. Each delivery should add some value for the customer. For example, the customer doesn't care that you refactored the login page. She does care that it is now allowing her to log in with her Google account. Users are using more and more software for all kind of tasks, and they are used to frequent updates. So when they ask us for changes, they won't be willing to wait for months before they see them. That's why early and continuous delivery is so important. Number 2. Embrace change. The second principle states, welcome changing requirements, even late in the development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. In a world that's constantly changing at a rapid pace, nobody can really predict what the requirements of a piece of software will be. Yet, businesses don't like surprises, but what they like even less is wasting money on a product that's no longer relevant. If we welcome change, the software could provide the customer with a competitive advantage because it satisfies the current and latest needs, not those of from last 1 year. The fact that the world is constantly changing has been true for decades. Society changes, the market changes, our organizations change, and people change. Instead of trying to stop or slow down this process, we should embrace it and use it for our customers' advantage. Imagine what it would have been if Jon Snow did not agree to ride a dragon with Daenerys. Will he be able to win the Great War without it? Number 3. Frequent delivery. The next principle is to deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference to the shorter time scale. This principle actually seems like a repetition of the first one, and in a way it is. However, the first principle points out that we should start delivering value software early, and this principle goes a little bit more into detail about what delivering continuously means. It recommends delivering a new version of your software within a short time scale. This means smaller releases, and smaller releases means fewer changes or bugs getting through. More frequent releases also provide more moments of feedback from the client. If you only get feedback about all your changes after several months, you will have much more work that accommodate any remarks. This is a principle that became more radical over the years. We no longer regards a release cycle of a couple of months as agile. The industry has evolved to daily or weekly releases. Number 4. Business and developers together. Another principle states, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Developers are often shielded from the business people. Analysts are put between them to translate the business language to a language that developer can understand. This agile principle calls upon organization to remove these barriers and let developers and the businesses interact with each other daily. This increases mutual understanding and respect. If you have ever played the telephone game as a child, you know that each extra step in communication leads to a loss of information. Having the business and developers work closely together reduces the risk but doesn't eliminate it. Even in the modern world of distributed teams, we should try to work together closely on a daily basis. Catching misunderstandings every now and then, getting regular feedback from each other helps in producing successful outcomes. Number 5. Motivated individuals. This one says build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and support they need and trust them to get the job done. An agile team is a team that's matured and responsible enough to produce quality software. This requires a certain amount of trust. But if you can't trust your developers, why were they hired even at first place? With the correct coaching and environment and tools, motivated developers will feel unable to do their work professionally. If you build your projects around people that aren't motivated enough or have been demotivated due to the lack of trust or support, your project isn't likely to succeed. Even worse, smart developers will have no trouble finding better jobs. Number 6. Face-to-face conversation. The next principle says the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Technology has increased the number of ways in which humans can communicate, but none of these are good as face-to-face talks. Our brains interpret all kinds of signals, not just sound, waves, or our voices. Facial expressions and body language matters too. It isn't uncommon for asynchronous communication to cause misunderstanding. This diagram from Alistair Coburn's book Agile Software Development shows us how effective different form of communication could be. Since 2001, the way we work has changed drastically. Many organizations have people that work remotely even in other time zones. Technologies like trackers and Slack created ways of communicating asynchronously. And the tools like Skype and Hangout allow us to have remote face-to-face talks. It will never be 100% like real-life interaction, but maybe it's good enough. Teams across the globe are proving that they can still be successful and agile without seeing each other in real life. Number 7. Working software. One of the principles says working software is the primary measure of progress. Software projects can take a long time, so it's absolutely rational for businesses to measure progress. This agile principle states that the primary way of measuring progress is working software. Finished analysis, complete models, or beautiful mock-ups have little meaning if they aren't converted into working software. They may be necessary, but if you haven't put at least a small portion of that into a working product, then you haven't created value for your customer. Today, we often go a step further. If the working software hasn't been shipped, it is not finished, and so no progress has been made. Unreleased software is inventory, and inventory is a cost, not a piece of income or value. Number 8. Sustainable Development Agile Process promotes sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Having a constant pace of development without all-nighters and deadline hunts helps us avoid burnouts and pursuit of sustainable working environment. Many times when building enterprise information storages, there are always a definite end. So having an even workload would help avoid burnouts in the teams and keeping them motivated over a longer period of time. Using small iterations, committed stakeholders and committed teams helps keeping the pace up on a constant level, or actually gradually increasing over time if the team kept intact. Number 9. Technical excellence. There is another saying, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhance agility. Many businesses prefer time to market over good technical design. And in all fairness, they can't be blamed. We just mentioned that unreleased software is a cost. The end user doesn't care about the technical excellence and it doesn't create income for the business. But if teams neglect a good technical design for too long, their speed and time to market will start to slow down. Their ability to change the product as a reaction to a changing market will diminish. They are losing their agility. In my experience, both managers and developers aren't aware enough of those principles. This principle is still very relevant. In my experience, both managers and developers aren't aware enough of this principle. In small projects, it may make sense to work fast without an eye for good design. But if the project is big enough, it pays off to pay attention to the technical quality. This doesn't mean we need big theoretical designs before starting to code. Good designs can emerge as the software evolves, but developers need to get the time and be responsible enough to do so. Number 10. Simplicity. Simplicity is the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. Is yet another principle. Maximizing the amount of work not done can be done in several places. You can remove procedures that are no longer relevant, automate manual work, use existing libraries instead of writing your own, etc. etc. It all saves time and money, giving us rooms on focus on delivering more value. This is an ongoing effort for all organizations, but it requires some work to identify where and how we can improve. Number 11. Self-organizing teams. One of the last principles is that the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. This principle is a combination of some previous principles. If we want, the business and developers can communicate with each other regularly and effectively. If we want to measure progress by working software and not theoretical models. And if we work with motivated individuals, then we should have teams producing quality softwares without too much control about them. Teams should learn to self-organize all aspects of software development. They should gather requirements by communicating with the business, write quality software, organize their work, and this all leads to a better software because the developers will start to own the software as their own baby. Developers are still regarded as factory line workers that can be fed requirements, but software development is work that requires much more. The team needs to be allowed to organize itself to deliver. The other side of story is that agile software developers should take on this responsibility. An agile team requires developers taking on responsibility beyond just writing code. Number 12. Regular reflection and adjustment. Finally, there is the last principle that says at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. At regular intervals, Self-organizing teams should take the time to look at the way they work and adjust accordingly. No team runs perfectly. A mature agile team can identify issues with respect for each other and act to improve the process. This principle will always matter. It's what makes individuals team and the business successful by not accepting the status questions but always looking to improve the situation. To summarize all these principles, you may have noticed that all the agile principles are still relevant today. That's because they are based on economic reality and human nature. With technology changing daily, a solid development method must allow for quick changes during the evolution of a software solution. Agile provides this, helping developers to efficiently and quickly address a customer's evolving needs. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.